When people rush to defend themselves right away, they reveal what they fear inside. Ibrahim Traoré believed that true strength lies in listening and reflecting, not in quick excuses. He said this insecurity exposes their weakness. On a quiet Sunday morning in Brooklyn, far away from Africa, the sun rose gently. Then the quiet broke. Phones buzzed. The internet came alive. Social media feeds moved fast. A message was coming, live from Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, the land of upright people. It was not a normal message. It was not a politician reading from a paper. It was Ibrahim Traoré, a young revolutionary, a captain, a soldier, speaking from his heart. People say he took back his country. They say he stood up to France, who held his people down for so long. And he did it, not for himself, but for his people's dignity. That message, on that Sunday morning, was not just for the people in Burkina Faso. It was for all his brothers and sisters across the ocean, the African family in the United States, the Caribbean, Brazil, and everywhere they were scattered. The camera was steady, showing Ibrahim Traoré's calm face. He wore his simple uniform, not for show, but because he was a soldier, a worker. Inside his eyes, a fire burned, the fire of his people. The room he sat in was not a palace. There was no gold, no fancy flags, just old maps of Africa from before Europeans cut her into pieces like a cake. But Africa is not a cake. Africa is home. On the walls behind him were pictures of great men: Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, Malcolm X. Ibrahim Traoré said they were not dead. Their spirits were alive in his people. For 40 minutes, he spoke. His words crossed the ocean, entered black communities, and sparked like lightning. He began with the pain, the history of slavery and colonialism, which tore Africa's soul in two. One part stayed, the other was taken by force. Traoré reminded them how they were ripped away, branded, sold like animals, taken from mothers, languages, and gods. But Ibrahim Traoré said Africa never forgot. Even when the world didn't hear her cries, Africa remembered her stolen children. He told the truth, that most African kingdoms resisted the slave trade. They did not sell their people willingly. It was forced on them by European guns and missionaries who came with a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other. They divided people, turned brother against brother, beat languages out of them. But the rhythm in the walk, the drumbeat in the heart, that was Africa still speaking inside them. As he spoke, people listened. In Chicago, barbershops turned down the music. In Atlanta, elders prayed. In Harlem, activists paused. It was like hearing an old voice, sacred, long lost. But Traoré did not want to speak only of chains. He wanted to say that the chains were breaking, and he wanted his people to be part of that. He spoke of what was happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. The Sahel was rising up, rejecting France's grip. He said neo-colonialism no longer used chains people could see. Now they used money, contracts, and puppets. Ibrahim Traoré said they feared him not because he was powerful, but because he reminded them of Sankara. And they feared black people abroad not because they protest, but because they fear what would happen if they stood side by side with Africa. Then Ibrahim Traoré made a historic announcement. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger would launch a diaspora citizenship program. Every descendant of enslaved Africans would be welcomed home. Fast-track citizenship, land, investment opportunities. He said, if you feel homeless in America, know this, you are not homeless, you are landless. And land can be given back. He spoke directly to young men hunted by police in Oakland. Come home. To mothers in New Orleans teaching black history. Come walk the same ground our ancestors prayed on. To rappers in Atlanta. Come build studios here. And to the grandmothers in Detroit, your strength is sacred. We honor it. He called on famous names, Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Kendrick, Rihanna, Oprah, to bring their power home. He asked them to help rebuild Africa. He named the plan Operation Sankara, meaning go back and fetch what was lost. Ibrahim Traoré told them this was not charity. It was not a rescue. It was rebuilding. Africa did not need saviors. It needed builders. You are not foreigners here. You are pieces of a broken mosaic coming home. But he was honest too. Africa was not paradise. It had poverty, corruption, wounds. But it now had them, and that changed everything. When the message ended, there was silence, sacred silence. A teacher in Chicago cried. A retired soldier whispered, "It's about time." A student in DC wrote, "My letter to Ibrahim Traoré." Western media tried to dismiss him. They called him dangerous, spread fake stories, tightened sanctions. But Traoré stayed calm. "Let them come," he said. "We are not afraid. For the first time, we are not alone." He released another video, shorter, more defiant. "We are not asking you to leave your countries," he said. "Reconnect with your roots. See Africa not as a grave, but as a garden, a place of life and rebirth." He invited filmmakers, scientists, entrepreneurs to the first Diaspora Congress. When the day came near, flights filled up. Young people sold their things. A movement called Back to Build began. They were ready. At the Congress, there were no celebrities on stage, just elders pouring libations, whispering to the ancestors. Traoré presented the Sankara Pact. Land would be leased, not sold. Businesses co-owned. Schools would teach local languages and diaspora history. But not everyone supported him. Some in his own military plotted a coup. One night, they came for him, but they did not expect the Sankara Guard, volunteers from the diaspora, to stand watch. "This gate is guarded by the ancestors," they said. The coup failed. Traoré spoke that night. "They tried to reset the clock, but we will not be overthrown. We will overcome." He knew they would keep coming, so he built deeper roots. Schools, clinics, food systems. Mama Ruth, an elder from Detroit, planted cassava with local women. She said, "No matter how much they step on the seed, if it's buried in the right soil, it will grow." He gave Africa's first State of the Union, naming the traitors, proving the truth. Families who had returned stood by him, proof that his vision was real. They tried to destroy him with deep fakes, but a young Haitian journalist exposed the lies. Some left, some stayed. Then, Ibrahim Traoré vanished. A short hidden message came. He sat cross-legged in a mud hut. His beard was thicker, his eyes calm. "This was never about me," he said. "If you think this was my movement, we failed. If you believe it is your calling, the work continues." Africa does not wait for one man. She waits for all her children. And they came, families, teachers, nurses, artists, from every corner of the diaspora. They built Sankara Hills, schools, clinics, farms, side by side with locals. One morning, a helicopter hovered over Sankara Hills. The speakers warned people to disband, but someone hacked the signal. Traoré's voice cut through the air. "I am alive. But whether I live or die is not the question. The question is, will you finally believe you are free?" The next morning, thousands marched peacefully. Women sat in the roads, blocking tanks with locked arms. The world watched. The invasion never came. Standing at the rebuilt Thomas Sankara Memorial, Ibrahim Traoré gave his final address. "You were never lost. You were taken. You were never weak. You were unarmed. You were never forgotten. Africa has called your name through every drought, every war, every drumbeat. Come home, or build home where you stand. But freedom will not be given. It must be chosen by you for you." Then Ibrahim Traoré stepped into the crowd, and he disappeared again, not out of fear, but out of trust. The people had awakened. The rest was up to them. A decade later, Black children around the world would study the Burkina uprising as the moment Africa rose, not as a continent to pity, but as a force to respect. His face would appear beside Mandela and Malcolm X. But under the baobab tree in Sankara Hills, a small plaque reads, "A man came." The people answered, "The rest is up to you."